My sister tried to steal my apartment while I was on the operating table, giving her my kidney. Thank God I found out in time. Elizabeth and I were like two peas in a pod as kids, except she was 3 years older, her hair a shade lighter. Mom used to say we were like twins born years apart. In our little Detroit house, where the wallpaper peeled and we slept under double blankets to stay warm in winter, we were each other's world. I remember sharing her last slice of peanut butter bread with me when Dad's paycheck was still 4 days away. I remember her standing up to bullies at school, even though she wasn't much bigger than me. I remember her hand in mine as we fell asleep in the narrow bed we shared until I was 14. "Cindy," she'd whisper in the dark, "promise we'll always be together, no matter what." "I promise forever." Those words echoed in my head 30 years later as I sat in doctor's office at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit. Was beside me, pale as the hospital sheets, dark circles under her eyes. Her kidneys were failing. End-stage chronic kidney disease, doctor called it in his cold, clinical terms. "We need a donor," he said, adjusting his glasses. "Ideally a close relative, tissue compatibility is higher." I didn't hesitate, the words spilled out before I could think them through. "Test me, I'll be a match." Turned to me stunned, tears glistened in her eyes. "Cindy, you can't, it's serious, you're risking your health." "And you didn't risk yours when you stood up to Tommy Johnson for me in 6th grade, I took her hand. "We promised to be together forever, no matter what." She cried then, heavy tears she tried to hide by turning to the window. The next 2 weeks were a blur of tests, scans, and consultations. I was a perfect match, our tissues aligned almost flawlessly. "Like nature made you for each other," Dr. Martinez, the transplant coordinator, said. I prepared for the surgery with a strange sense of solemnity, like I was readying for a sacred ritual. Those days I remembered our childhood vividly, building pillow forts in the living room, reading me bedtime stories with a different voice for each character, teaching me to ride a bike in the empty supermarket parking lot, running beside me, holding the handlebars until I found my balance. "You'll be proud of me," I thought, imagining waking up after surgery to her grateful face. 3 days before the operation, I was in the pre-op ward reviewing standard consent forms. Visited with her husband, Mark. They'd been married 8 years, but I'd never warmed to him. He worked in insurance, wore cheap suits, and always looked at me like he was appraising my worth. "How you feeling, hun?" Sat on the edge of my bed, taking my hand. "Ready to save my sister," I smiled. Mark stood by the window, typing on his phone, visibly tense. "Cindy," said softly, "I'm so grateful. I don't know how I'll ever repay you." "I don't need anything, just for you to be healthy." They left quickly, said she was tired and Mark had work early. I was alone with my thoughts in the hospital's quiet, broken only by the beep of monitors and distant voices in the hall. Around 9 that evening, I went to the hospital cafeteria for coffee. The ward's vending machine was broken, and I wanted a small treat before the big day. The cafeteria was nearly empty, just a couple of nurses at a far table and a janitor mopping the floor. On my way back, I heard familiar voices from the visitor's room at the end of the hall. The door was ajar, and his voice was unmistakable. "She'll be weak for weeks after surgery. The doctors said full recovery could take a month, maybe 6 weeks." "Perfect," Mark replied. "That's enough time to get power of attorney over her apartment. She won't say no to her sick sister, especially after giving up a kidney." I froze in the hallway, coffee slipping from my hand, splashing across the floor. "You sure this'll work?" His voice trembled, but there was no doubt in her tone. "Of course, your sister, such a sap. Tell her we need money for your recovery, treatment, whatever. She'll sign anything we ask. Then we sell the apartment and take that Europe trip we planned." "What if she figures it out?" "She won't, and if she does, it'll be too late. The apartment will be ours." Laughed softly, that laugh cut through me, predatory, calculating, nothing like the laugh I remembered from childhood. "You know, Mark, sometimes I think Cindy's too naive for this world, always has been. Back in the day, she'd give me her candy if I asked, saying I needed it more because I was older." "Perfect, let her keep giving, just not candy this time, real estate worth 200 grand. They both laughed. I stood in the hallway, leaning against the wall, feeling my world crumble. My apartment was all I had. I'd saved for it over 10 years, working 12-hour days at an ad agency. It was my sanctuary, my home, my future. And my sister, my beloved, planned to steal it, using my love for her as a weapon. I crept past the visitor's room and back to my ward. I didn't sleep that night, replaying what I'd heard. By morning, I knew what to do. When doctor came for my pre-op check, I clutched my chest and gasped about chest pain and trouble breathing. "It feels like my heart's going to stop," I said, faking panic. He ordered an EKG, chest x-ray. The surgery was postponed indefinitely. Was frantic. "Cindy, what's wrong? The doctors say your tests are normal, but you look awful." I lay in bed, playing up my weakness. "I don't know, nerves maybe, I'm scared of the surgery." She sat beside me, stroking my hand, but I saw calculation in her eyes, not care. She was thinking about my apartment. "Hun, we need to hurry, my condition's getting worse. The doctors say if we don't transplant soon." "I know, but I can't go through with it like this, it's too risky." Mark stood by the window, fists clenched. Their plan was unraveling. The next few days were a strange game. Visited daily, bringing flowers, my favorite magazines, homemade food. She played the caring sister perfectly, at least on the surface. But I saw her exchange glances with Mark, saw her fingers tap nervously on the chair. "Cindy," she said one evening when we were alone, "I need to ask you something." Here it comes, I thought. Of course, anything. "You know, treatment's expensive, insurance doesn't cover everything, and after I might not work for months," she spoke slowly, choosing her words. "I was thinking maybe you could help financially. I know you have your apartment, if you could sign a power of attorney." "Power of attorney?" I feigned surprise. "Yeah, just a formality, so I can handle financial stuff if you're not well after surgery. The doctors say recovery can be tough." I looked at her, the face I loved, the eyes I once saw only warmth in. Now I saw greed, betrayal, readiness to destroy me. I said quietly, "Remember when we played hospital as kids? You were always the doctor, I was the patient. You always healed me." She smiled, but it was strained. "Of course, we dreamed you'd be a nurse, I'd be a doctor, working together." "Yeah, and you always said a doctor's job was to help people, the most important thing in the world, helping someone in need." "That's why I'm so grateful, Cindy. You're helping me when I'm in trouble." I nodded. "Except now, I'm not sure I should help you." Froze. "What do you mean?" "I mean I overheard you and Mark about the power of attorney, my apartment, your Europe trip." Her face paled, then flushed. She was silent for a moment, then exploded. "You were eavesdropping." "Yeah, I was, and you know what? I'm glad I did, because I found out who you really are." Shot up from the chair, eyes blazing. "You don't get it, I'm dying, Cindy, I need money for treatment, and you're sitting on that apartment like a dog in the manger, you barely use it, you're hardly there." "Barely use it," I stood too, anger surging. "I saved for that apartment for 10 years, I worked nights, weekends, gave up everything, that apartment is my life." "And my life's worth nothing," she screamed. "I'm your sister, I'm dying, and you're worried about some property. If you'd asked honestly, I'd have helped, but you chose to trick me, use my surgery, my weakness, you plan to steal everything I have." "Steal?" Laughed hysterically. "Cindy, you're my sister, there's no yours or mine with us, we're family." "Family?" I looked at her with disgust. "Family doesn't steal, family doesn't lie, you're a monster, you were ready to use my love to leave me with nothing." She cried, real or fake tears, I couldn't tell anymore. "Cindy, please, I didn't mean, Mark said it was the only way." "Mark said?" I grabbed her shoulders, shaking her. "Where was your conscience? Where was the sister who protected me as a kid, who shared her last slice of bread?" "I'm still her, I'm just desperate." "No," I said firmly, "you're not her, that would never betray me." Mark walked in, probably hearing the shouting. "What's going on here?" I turned to him. "Oh, the mastermind himself. Tell me, Mark, how long have you been planning to steal my apartment?" He faked surprise. "What are you talking about, Cindy?" "Don't play dumb, I heard everything, and you know what? Forget my apartment and my kidney." Gasped. "Cindy, no, you can't, I'll die without the transplant." "Did you think about that when you planned to rob me?" Mark stepped closer, his voice turning menacing. Cindy, don't be stupid, is dying, and you're going to kill her over some nonsense. Nonsense, my rage boiled over. My apartment is nonsense. 10 years of my life is nonsense. Or maybe it's nonsense that I was about to give up a kidney to save a traitor. Cindy grabbed my arm. Please, let's talk calmly, without Mark, like old times, remember, just us. I yanked my arm away. No, old times are gone, because back then I thought you loved me. Now I know you only love my money. Mark reached for my shoulder, but I pulled back. Keep your hands off me, both of you, get out now. Cindy, you're killing your sister, Mark yelled. No, I said coldly, you killed my sister, the one I loved, the one I'd have given everything for. They left but turned at the door. Cindy, if you change your mind. I won't ever. After they left, I sat by the window, staring at the city lights, crying for the sister I'd lost, for the childhood that felt like a lie, for the love that was betrayed. The next day, I asked to see Doctor. Doctor, I want to be a donor, but not for my sister. He raised his eyebrows. I don't understand. Are there other patients who need a kidney, maybe a child? Doctor studied me. Kidney donation is a big decision, especially for a stranger. Are you sure? Absolutely. He paused, then nodded. There's a girl, Johnson, 8 years old. She's been on the waiting list for a year and a half. Your tissues are compatible. We checked all potential donors in the database. Tell me about her. Congenital kidney condition. Bright kid, loves to draw, lives with her grandmother. Her parents died in a car accident 3 years ago. I closed my eyes, picturing an 8-year-old girl who dreamed of living, drawing, laughing. A girl who wouldn't betray my trust, steal my savings, or break my heart. I want to meet her. Was small and fragile, with huge brown eyes and a smile that lit up the room. When I walked in with Doctor, she was sketching in a notebook. What are you drawing? I asked. A house, she said shyly, the one I'll live in when I get better. She showed me her drawing, a little house with a garden of giant sunflowers. Who's this? I pointed to a woman's figure by the house. That's my mom, she's in heaven, but I think when I get better, she'll visit me. My heart ached. This girl had lost her parents, was fighting a disease, yet still believed in miracles. I said softly, I want to help you. She looked at me, wide-eyed. Really, how? I have something you might need, so you can get better and live in your sunflower house. Doctor explained the surgery to and her grandmother. The grandmother wept with gratitude and nodded seriously, trying to grasp the adult words. Will it hurt you? She asked me. It will, I said honestly, but that's okay, the pain will pass and you'll be healthy. Why do you want to help me? You don't even know me. I thought for a moment. You know, sometimes grown-ups do bad things to each other. It makes you sad and hurt, but when you help a good person, your heart feels kind again. She nodded like she understood. Can I draw you a picture after the surgery? Of course, I'll be waiting. The surgery went well. When I woke up, I saw a bouquet of daisies on my bedside table and a note in childish handwriting. Thank you for saving me. Your. Visited a week later. She looked awful, thinner, older, eyes red from crying. Cindy, she said quietly, I heard you had the surgery, gave your kidney to some girl. Yeah. Why not me? I turned to her. What do you think? She cried. I know I was horrible, I know I betrayed you, but Cindy, I'm your sister, we grew up together. Is a stranger's kid more important than me? That stranger's kid never planned to rob me, I said calmly. She didn't pretend to love me to steal my apartment, she just wanted to live. And I don't want to live, sobbed. Cindy, I'm dying, and the one person who could save me gave her help to a stranger. Stop, you have options, dialysis, another donor. There are no other donors, our tissues were a perfect match. Then you'll wait like did, a year and a half. Stared at me, desperate. Do you hate me? I thought about it. No, I don't hate you, but you're not my sister anymore. My sister died the night I heard you and Mark talking. Cindy, please give me a chance. I've changed. I know I was wrong. Too late. She stood, wiping her tears. So that's it, 30 years mean nothing. 30 years meant everything, until you decided to betray me. After she left, I felt a strange relief, like a weight had lifted. I didn't have to love someone who was ready to destroy me anymore. Recovered quickly, she sent me drawings through the nurses, first from her hospital room, then from her grandmother's house. One showed two women holding hands, one big, one small. That's us, it said at the bottom. A month after the surgery, I visited her at their little house on the outskirts of Detroit, with a garden where her grandmother grew flowers. Ran out to meet me, rosy-cheeked, alive, healthy. Look how tall I got, she gestured an inch above her head. I see, you're practically grown up. Over tea, her grandmother told me's plans. She wanted to be a doctor to help sick kids. She says she'll be as kind a doctor as you, her grandmother laughed. I'm not a doctor, I smiled, just someone who wanted to help. Is there a difference? Asked seriously. Maybe there was. I never saw again. I heard from mutual friends she divorced Mark, moved to California to live with our aunt. She found a donor, a distant cousin, and the transplant was successful. She survived. I was glad despite everything. 2 years passed. I often thought about the choice I made in that hospital. Sometimes I dreamed of childhood and me building a snowman, her teaching me to tie my shoes, dreaming of our future. Those moments stung. But then I'd think of S's face when she woke up after surgery, her smile when the doctor said it went well, her drawings full of life and hope. I learned real love isn't blind devotion. It takes wisdom to tell good from evil, courage to say no when you need to protect yourself. I lost a sister but saved a child, and saved myself from bitterness, from blind love, from being a victim of someone's greed. On the 3rd anniversary of the surgery, invited me to her 11th birthday. I brought a cake and a gift, a set of paints. When we were alone, she said, I want to show you something. She pulled out a big sketchbook, her drawings from the past 3 years. The early pages were hospital scenes, but they grew brighter, more joyful. This is my most important one, she said, opening the last page. It showed a hospital room, 2 beds, and a woman giving something glowing to a little girl. What's the glowing thing? I asked. Your heart, she said seriously. Grandma says when someone gives a part of themselves to save another, their heart starts to glow. I hugged her, tears welling up. You know what? She whispered in my ear. Your heart lives in me now too, and it glows. Driving home that night, I stopped at the mirror in my hallway and looked at my reflection. Yes, I'd lost a sister. Yes, my heart was broken by betrayal, but I hadn't turned cruel. I hadn't shut out the world. Instead, I learned to tell who deserved my love and who wanted to exploit it, to say no, even to the closest people when they crossed a line, to give my kindness to those who valued it. In my desk drawer was a letter from, sent 6 months ago. She wrote that she regretted everything, wanted to rebuild our relationship, had learned her lesson. I read it once and put it away. I didn't throw it out, but I didn't reply. Maybe she's changed, maybe she's truly sorry, but some wounds don't heal, some bridges don't rebuild, and that's okay. I don't have to forgive someone who was ready to ruin my life. I don't have to return to a relationship built on lies. I don't have to sacrifice myself for those who see my love as a chance to profit. There's a difference between love and self-destructive sacrifice, between kindness and naivety, between forgiveness and letting yourself be a victim again. Sitting by the window in my apartment, the one they tried to steal, I thought about how my life had changed. I no longer worked 12-hour days. I started my own small ad agency, hired young, talented people. I had time for hobbies, travel, life. And new people came into my life, honest, open, capable of genuine friendship. Colleagues who became real friends, an elderly neighbor I help with groceries who bakes me pies, and her grandmother who feel like family. When you let go of toxic relationships, you make room for healthy, happy ones. On my wall hung one of S's drawings, the sunflower house, now with 2 figures holding hands, a little girl and a woman. In the corner, in childish handwriting, 2, who taught me family isn't just blood but heart. Yes, I lost a sister, but I gained a daughter, not by blood but by choice, by love that doesn't demand sacrifice, set conditions, or hide traps. My phone rang, snapping me out of my thoughts, an unknown number. Hello. This is Henry Ford Hospital. Doctor, are you Carter? My heart skipped. Yes, that's me. I'm calling about our donor program. We have a patient, a young man, 23, medical student. He needs a kidney, and your data in the donor registry shows a match. I closed my eyes and smiled. Doctor, tell me about him. Life gives us the trials we need. His betrayal taught me to value real love and not waste it on the unworthy, showed me selfless gratitude. Now fate offered another choice, to help a young man who dreamed of saving others. I already knew my answer. 2 hours later, I was at the hospital, signing forms for new tests. In the waiting room sat a young man with a surgery textbook, probably my patient. Excuse me, I said, are you Jason Miller? He looked up, thin face, sharp eyes behind glasses, tired smile. Yes, that's me, and you? I'm your potential donor. His face lit up. Really, you're willing, but we don't even know each other. Not yet, I smiled, but I hope we can fix that. Tell me about yourself. We talked until evening. Jason shared his dream of becoming a pediatric surgeon, how his kidney disease had interrupted his studies, his fear of not fulfilling his goals. I told him about my experience, how donation isn't a sacrifice but a gift that comes back tenfold. Why, he asked, why help a stranger? I thought of our childhood promises to be together forever, of who calls me her second mom, of the choices that make us who we are. You know, Jason, I said finally, I've learned family isn't just who you're born with, it's who's willing to share their heart without strings attached, who sees your help as a gift, not an obligation, who takes the chance you give them to make the world better. He nodded, tears in his eyes. I won't let you down, I promise I'll be a good doctor. I don't doubt it. The surgery was scheduled for the next month, the day before, and her grandmother visited. Said seriously, Grandma says you're helping someone else. Yes, a young man, he wants to be a doctor. Like me, she beamed. Can I meet him? We'll be like brother and sister, we'll both have pieces of your heart. I laughed and hugged her. Of course, I think you'll get along great. That night I didn't sleep, staring at the stars, thinking about life's strange twists. 3 years ago, I was ready to give a kidney to a sister who wanted to rob me. Today, I'm preparing to give another to a stranger who dreams of saving kids. Life taught me love isn't blindness but clarity, that kindness must be given wisely to those who deserve it, that family is a choice, not a duty. Somewhere in California lives a woman who was once my sister. Maybe she's happy, maybe she's changed. I wish her well, but our paths have parted forever. Here with me are a girl who calls me her second mom and a young man who will soon be a doctor. My real family, by choice, by love, by shared values. I know I made the right choice, not when I refused to save, but when I learned to tell real love from manipulation, when I realized my heart deserved better than being a tool for someone's greed. The stars shone brightly that night. Tomorrow was the surgery, then recovery, a new chapter, but I wasn't afraid. I knew I was doing the right thing. And deep inside, I heard the voice of the little girl I used to be. Promise we'll always be together, no matter what. I promise, I whispered to the stars, but now I know who we are. Not those I shared blood with, but those I shared my soul with. Did you like the story? Share your thoughts in the comments and give it a thumbs up. See you next time.